We're recording, by the way.
Oh, is it recording now?
This is the setup to our first conversation together with Katerina Skoulis. This is POW. It's a series of conversations with like-minded individuals, and my first conversation is with this wonderful woman who I met, I was going to say coincidentally, but I'm of a believer now that there are no coincidences in life. Right?
No, that's very true. So we bumped into each other in a salon. Not so much bumped in, I was promoting my health and menopause event, and walked into the salon and talked about what the event was about, and this lady, Amanda, said, "Did you say menopause?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Oh wow, talk to me." So that's where it all started.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a journey for me, and because there's so much on the internet and out there and so much information, we're all bombarded, that I've been reticent to sort of talk about it myself on screen. But this lady has given me, and hopefully other women too, and men, the confidence to talk about it, right? Because this is the thing that we're finding, that men are experiencing all the troubles that women are having because we're giving it to them. So let's talk a little bit about where all this came from for you.
I worked in pharmaceuticals for many years, and it's always a very sort of energetic job, very busy on your toes.
And your mind, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and your mind. So it's very demanding, very challenging, very competitive, lots of fun. I had my second child around about the age of 39, and there came a point after I had children that there was just too much in the mix, and I felt like a bit like the Wizard of Oz when the house takes off and everything's spinning around.
Yeah.
Everything in my mind seems like it's spinning around everywhere, and it's really hard to focus. But then I started experiencing different symptoms and didn't quite realise that I was actually at the beginning of my perimenopause. Didn't even know the word perimenopause existed.
No. And I don't think a lot of women do, and I was for one. I mean, being in the industry with health and beauty and fitness, I thought I knew most of what to do to keep me going, give me energy and all of those things. But all the things I would normally do weren't cutting the mustard anymore. So, you know, what did you do?
Well, what did I do? I didn't know that all these symptoms were related to menopause. So I kept going to the doctors, and I was being sent from pillar to post, and I thought I was stressed, depressed, anxiety, all sorts of things going on. I had no idea. And then because of my medical background, I could actually put the pieces together and work out that I think I'm going through menopause. At the time, I just thought of it as menopause. So I went to my doctors, my results coming back completely normal. Nothing was wrong with me, apart from some gynae issues that I was having. But no one actually put the pieces together to say, yes, you are perimenopausal. So I figured it out for myself, and then eventually, with a bit of a push at the GPs, I got referred to a specialist menopause clinic.
All on the NHS?
Yes, all on the NHS.
Good.
And I've kind of been with them for 5 years, and they put me on HRT right from the start because they couldn't believe how my hormones were completely rock bottom.
So were you misdiagnosed before, or did you suddenly crash?
Misdiagnosed.
Wow.
And I think, I don't think blood tests are reliable.
No.
And I was so relieved when I finally went to the menopause clinic, and they treated me and they checked my bone density, and they did lots of different things. And they followed up really well for about 5 years. And that's how long I've been on HRT. So it doesn't solve all your problems.
No, it's no panacea, is it?
No, but it has helped, especially as you progress through the stages of hormonal changes. The symptoms can sometimes get worse, and so it's really good to know about it so you can actually learn to manage the symptoms, because actually it shouldn't really interfere with your life. With support and lifestyle changes, and if necessary medication, you can sort of put it into focus and manage your life better so it doesn't derail you.
And that's why I love the idea of your workshops, because it's an information, it's sharing, it's giving you knowledge, it's empowering you to feel, oh, I'm not the only one, you know, it's not just me sort of feeling, and you need that sometimes. We're often coming out of lockdown, as we all were, You know, we were all enclosed and using internet and television as our forms of information and learning, but actually being with somebody and having that verbal exchange and that energy system that you get when you get a group of people together, you can feel much more engaged and not so vulnerable, I think, right?
Absolutely. And I don't know about you, but it'd be interesting to hear, you know, what you changed or how did menopause change your career. But with me in particular, I got to a point where, especially during the lockdown period when everything came to heads, you had children at home, the whole role changed as a pharmaceutical key account manager, and I just felt like I couldn't cope, and the anxiety was so bad, I just literally couldn't cope, and I thought it was just my lack of ability, but it wasn't. It's all part of menopause. Now that I look back, I can understand why I was feeling that way, and also my lack of knowledge. So when there came a point where I stopped working in pharmaceuticals, and I decided actually the best type of career change I could make was being a health and wellbeing coach. So I did a course, an NHS accredited course, and completed that. And then because of my menopause situation, I wanted to be able to educate others and pre-warn everyone what's coming up, be prepared, and it maybe won't impact your life career and your life so much.
And that's an important, I wanted to go step back a bit and you being brave to make that career change, because a lot of people, men and women, you know, you go into university or whatever and you train into a certain career for 20 years or so, you get into your 40s and 50s, feel like you're in a nice sort of managerial higher up level position, whether it be corporate or, you know, working for yourself, but you almost feel that is who you are, and then when your body's changing, that goes into turmoil. So how did you find the courage, the strength, or how was the journey of change for you?
Well, actually, someone talked about getting a life coach, speaking to a life coach. So I thought that was a good idea, and also I've always wanted to help people, so I thought actually it's something I'm interested in doing as well as experiencing it for myself. And of course, if ever you want to do something different, it's important to experience it first. So I did. I found myself a brilliant life coach who supported me in building up my confidence, re-establishing, rediscovering, if you like, who I am, what I'm good at. I love helping people. I love the field of medicine. So putting everything together,
right?
It does. It fits really nicely together.
And so you think without a life coach, you wouldn't, especially being in menopause as well, or perimenopausal, you're not able to focus, are you?
No, I completely lost my confidence and just didn't know what to do with myself, and I couldn't focus. I was stressed, and my brain was cluttered, and my
Which
life
isn't the
coach,
person you normally would be.
No, so I was always so organised and with it, and now I just felt like I was having an out-of-body experience, which is quite common. So actually the coaching really helped me to re-establish myself and understand myself, and actually to accept myself, build up my confidence again. And not only did I decide being a life coach would be what I would enjoy doing the most, but I also decided to do a course on menopause, and I became a certified licensed coach with Menopause Experts Group. So now I've got first-hand experience, and I've been educated in that area, and I'm able to educate others and talk to others about that. So that's my story and how I've got to this point. So how has menopause impacted yours, and how can I help you, Amanda?
I need all the help I can get. So I, completely different woman to you, had lots of different careers throughout my journey of work. And so I've never really felt that I knew who I was anyway. But it was compounded to the blurriness and that whizzing that you were talking about was the bit I couldn't really come to terms with, and that was impacting my work, because I would have to get up and go and do go for a shoot, and it might be for a beauty company or a fitness company, and they're expecting me to embody that health and fitness person. And when you've had a night of hot sweats and then you can't remember what you put in your bag and what the route is and how does the sat nav work and what's your name, and anything becomes such a challenge. And so you get there and then they expect you to be all full of life and energy and looking healthy, and you're trying your best. I found my energy level throughout the day was very challenging, and especially when you're working with other younger models, they're full of life and look fabulous all day, whereas I would be wanting to sort of take a bit of a break and regroup. So
I know that feeling.
It was hard, and sometimes I have a few short scripts to read, and I can normally pick them up and read them quite well, but I couldn't retain anything. And so it impacts then on you being rebooked for more work, and so that was awful for me. And the actual time that I really started to feel the impact was when lockdown came. So it was a compounded effect, because we talked about this before, where I was going a bit mad, the world was going a bit mad, and I wasn't really sure how much of it was me and how much it was the impact of what was going on. And I think that's an important thing too, isn't it, for women, is that menopause isn't the only factor to why you're feeling discombobulated. There is your lifestyle, and there is your home life, and what support you do or don't have at home. If you're normally the work one like you were, that's really busy, organised, and then you're not quite so, they're not equipped to step in.
Yeah, that's right. It's quite a frightening prospect, and it impacts everybody in your household.
And a lot of women do find that their relationships, whether it be married or civil partnerships, that they struggle.
It is challenging for your partner, because you were the person to rely on, and suddenly it's gone the other way, where you need someone to rely on, you need someone to help you keep it together.
And for you, see, I don't have children, but you do, and of course they're relying on you too, right? To make sure you've got the gym kit and the food and all the things that you need to get them going.
Yeah, absolutely. And whether you feel good or don't feel good, you still have to be able to support them and be there for them. And they feel it as well if you're not. So it's really important to be proactive and to try and implement things like just really small life changes, or just make small adjustments in your life that minimizes that impact and helps not just you but your family or your friends. And if for an example, if you're not sleeping well at night, your partner's not sleeping well at night because...
Oh, tell the story, can you, about your being hot?
Oh yeah, well, night sweats, I think, apart from brain fog, I think brain fog's the number one symptom, but night sweats were terrible, as in completely, I was completely drenched, like someone was pouring buckets of water over me, and I'd wake up in the middle of the night, didn't want to disturb my husband, so I would get towels out and start laying towels underneath for me to lie on, just to cover the wet patch. And then I wouldn't be able to use the duvet because on top it would be wet as well. So I would grab my dressing gown and sleep under that and shiver and be cold. So yeah, and then I'd have to get up the next day and go to work, function, retain information. And of course, in the pharmaceutical industry, it's all highly regulated, and you want to communicate the correct information, so you can't remember things. I discovered that I was confused, couldn't remember, and I had to drive miles and miles every day. So driving was really challenging because I'd be so tired. But I'd also would have disturbed my husband 2 or 3 times in the middle of the night, and I'd have a pile of clothes in the bathtub in the morning from all the wet things I'd been taking off. And then everyone would be tired in the morning, and I would be screaming, shouting at my children, and rushing around like a lunatic. So what kind of normal functioning life is that?
No.
So, and I didn't know really what to do about it at the time.
No.
But now I know that there are things you can do. But I mean, generally, it's not just about menopause, everything in general. Your general well-being is important.
And I think that's the other thing, when you have, as we get older, we age anyway, and then the hormonal decline, which is rapid, it is a big adjustment. It's not just hormonal, but it's also how you eat, how you know, what exercise you do or don't do.
Your life changes, so you can't function how you did before. You need to make certain changes to adapt with the way that you are, how you've not necessarily aged, it's just hormonal changes, and those hormonal changes can happen at any age.
Yes.
So
that's an important thing.
Yeah.
That's important for us to sort of, I think, tap into, because we talked also, didn't we, that we see a lot of menopause information out there, very much geared to our 50+ age group. But we both agree, when you're much younger, you need to get that information out there so that you can get into that prepped state that we were talking about.
I really wish someone had told me what to expect. And so this is one of my main goals, is to educate younger women. And in fact, I think it should be taught at school.
I so agree. Well, we talk about puberty and pregnancy and all of those things.
It just seems natural to go into.
We just miss a whole section of our life.
Yeah, absolutely. And your estrogen starts to decline from the age of 25, and then you go through different phases of hormonal changes. So I wish someone had told me what to expect, and things would be a lot different.
And I think, although you had the horrific hot sweat scenario, it isn't. I think that's where, especially the younger generation of women, they think, well, I haven't got hot sweats and I've got my period every month, I'm fine. And actually, there's a whole tranche of things that go on before that. And I did have a little bit of a hot sweat, but my thing was brain fog and forgetfulness and stuff. And you need to, if you can, try and nip that in the bud early on, because whatever type of therapy or medication you start to take, it takes time to kick in. So if you leave it till you get to our sort of age group, you've got a lot more of sort of to try and get to build yourself back up. And by which time, if you are career minded, it's had an impact. You know.
And hormonal changes are not just the common known ones like night sweats, hot flushes, migraine. There's a lot more to it. There's so many symptoms. Huge amount of symptoms, and that's because we've got estrogen receptors all over our body, so it can affect any part of our body, hair, teeth, skin.
And that's the other thing I was going to remember to say, is that you say about estrogen receptors across the body. When your estrogen declines, as it does into through your 40s, and we talk about the weight gain element, and the reason for that is that estrogen is stored in the fat cells, right? So if your body's now clamoring to try and retain estrogen, so it retains the fat, where it has the weakest form of estrogen, but it retains it, and that's why this sort of lovely central section, hence why the nice loose shirts today. Goodbye crop top, right?
It is quite complicated, and I think it would be a whole session on how your estrogen.
And we said we'd do something separate on that.
We will.
Do a little 10-minute another video just on some of the things that you can take and do to help you through.
Because it is a bit more complicated, and there are other hormones involved. So it'd be good if we talk about that on another occasion, and we do a session so people can understand how all the hormones work together. And it's basically defined as the endocrine system, and it is complicated, so we'll leave that one for another time.
And also, we do always focus on the three: the estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. But we're made up of 50 hormones. The whole body, there's 50 different hormones.
I don't know, I've never counted.
And there are, cortisol and melatonin and all sorts of things that raise and come up and down because the estrogen is affecting us. We're not sleeping, so the cortisol raises. Then you've got insulin resistance, all these things.
So there's happy hormones, sad hormones.
Well, we want some more happy hormones.
Simplistically, and they do affect our mood. So that's why some women have mood swings and emotional episodes, and it's because the reproductive hormones are linked in with what you've been calling sad and happy hormones. But it just goes to show how diverse the issue is. And that's what the workshops are about, because when I do the health and menopause workshops, it explains in a little bit more detail about how we function and how we can manage it.
Good. So we feel we've covered a general gist of what the menopause is about as we're getting older, how it affects your career, things like life coaches and going to workshop like Katerina's are real benefits, and just gets you off the mark and gets you talking to other women so you don't feel so isolated and vulnerable. So you're going to be putting some workshops together next year, 2024?
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely, and maybe combine them with other aspects which help with lifestyle changes like yoga, mindfulness.
Yes.
So there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot to do, and
also you do your life coaching as well as one-to-one. So if you quite like Katerina, I think she might be able to help you. She's a great person, a great source, even just to make a phone call, a DM, a text. Always happy to talk.
You're going to get me very busy, aren't you?
I hope so.
So yeah, life coaching, again, I don't just focus on menopause, I
No.
literally focus on all aspects of health, or, you know, lifestyle changes, anything that helps with regards to...
Sorry, that's my dog, so if you can hear the tippy tappy toes, Dolly decided to come into the
And I
film.
lost my concentration.
That's the joy of our age. All right, my darlings, we're going to wrap up. Thank you for joining and watching us.
Listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy?
Yeah.
Oh.